Hey everyone, welcome to the Learning Angular and going from a zero to a hero. In the last session, we learned how to actually create a component and just went through what files are created when it's installed and how you actually include it into your overall project. Now we will actually go through and customize the component which we previously created. So it was the app toolbar. So if we go into the toolbar.component.html file, we will remove all the text and we want to create a div element with class navbar. So this is just going to be our navigation bar. Within that, we will have another div. We will call this the container. And next, within this container, I would like to have, first of all, let's have a class, and I'm going to call it brand. So what this will be is our logo or some text. Here, let's actually just call it logo in that sense. So first we have this, and then after that we will have each of our navigation menus. And for now, the navigation menus won't actually go anywhere, but they will be a nav class. Our first one will be home, and let's just create one more other. So at present, these don't actually go anywhere, they don't do anything. Later on, as we add different pages, etc., we will see how we actually amend any of these links and how we actually include them. Now if we just look at what we've created, we see we have home and other. They don't actually do anything, so we need to just also style this a bit better. So here we have a navbar class. So if we go into our CSS file, we can actually just add the navbar in here. So for the position, I want it to be fixed. I want it to be at the top, and I also want it to be on the very left. Now the width, later on as we scale our website, so making it useful for mobile and desktop applications, so it needs to span across all devices to be 100%. So it's always going to be across the very top. And that is, for now, our navbar. Let's also give it a background. And let's choose a nice, fairly light blue for our background. So now if we have to look, so that is our navbar. And generally I want my navbar to be, let's make it 50, a height of 50 pixels. So there we have it. Now because this is fixed, we can actually see the rest of our component is hidden because we've made this fixed to the top left hand corner. How we actually get around that in the rest of our application, we can actually add a class here, and let's just call it body, and have all of our content within this. And for this body, we will actually go into our style CSS file. So this is at a global level, and we will put body. So here we see body, and we will put a margin at the top of 50 pixels. So what is now happening is it's moving the entire body down by 50 pixels, and we have that margin at the top. Let's also put a padding at the top. of 20 pixels. And this will just create some space. Okay, we've reduced that down to 10. Now for these home and other, and we also, in our toolbar component HTML file, we also have this logo, and nothing is actually showing in here at present. So if we just step down in this container, so the idea of this container is I want to use it throughout my application, and I want it to be about 900 pixels in the center, so to just narrow all of the content, anything on the left to pull it in to 900, and anything on the right to reduce it down so that the width is always 900 but it is centered. How we'll actually do that is if we create a class called container, and we are going to say margin auto and 0 pixels, and we are now going to say a width of 900 pixels. Okay, so it's actually 0 pixels and then auto. And here we now see that we have that. If we actually had to put a border, just so we can see where exactly it is, so we can see it's just 900. So it's just pulling away from each of the edges. Excellent. Next, we want to have our brand in this top left hand corner. So here our brand, and this is just local to this component. So here we will actually put this in our toolbar.css file. So for the brand, some of my shortcuts don't appear to be working, but in any case, so let's say the font size to be 1.3 from the standard size. We also want the padding to be 7 pixels from the top, 10 pixels from the right, 7 pixels from the bottom, and 10 pixels from the left. We're going to make the color very close to being white. So it's just a light shade of gray, and it still hasn't made any change. So why has it not made a change? Well, we have this logo in brackets. So at present, our component does not actually know anything about logo. So we need to tell Angular that we have a logo variable. And in here, we would add logo as a string. So now Angular knows that there is a variable called logo. It is a type of string. And when this toolbar component is created, we want this logo to equal 0 to hero. And by doing so, we now have 0 to hero. Okay, so it still doesn't look quite right. So let's just update our styling. So let's make it 12. Let's make this 1.8. So there it's a bit bigger. At the top it's still not quite right. I want it to move lower down. So what we can actually do here is make it 15. So 15 and 15 will give us 30 pixels. So we still have 20 pixels for our brand. Okay, let's actually make each of these 10 pixels, and let's make this 30 pixels in size. And now let us look at our brand. Okay, so what can we see here? Well, our entire nav bar is 50 pixels. The container is 36 pixels, and this brand is saying that it is now 56 pixels in total size. So we're just looking at the different heights, but it is still not quite at the bottom. So what can we do here? Let's just move that 12 from the top. And I'm actually going to add a margin top of 5 pixels just for this brand. Okay, so not quite perfect, but for now I think it is fine. Next we want to customize this home and other tabs. So here where we have a nav link within our toolbar, we want some padding of 10 pixels. So it's just going to put 10 pixels around the link. So we begin to see, okay, these links are now just given some space each. We want the font size to be larger, so let's make these 25 pixels. So they're beginning to look a bit better. Okay, and we actually don't want any decoration on them. So let's say text decoration, none. So now we can see, okay, so they're not showing. And we want the color to be the same. So now we're just beginning to make it overall uniform. But how do we know that this is just text and this is actually a link? When we hover over them, they don't do anything. When we click it, there's no color change. So it's not very good for a user. So how can we just update that a little? So this a nav, we want to introduce a hover and also an active link. So when we hover over it, we want the background to change. And we just want it to go a deeper color. And when we actually select it, we want it to go an even brighter color. So it needs to get lighter so that we know we have selected it. And for each of these, I actually want a border on the left to be 1 pixel. Okay, so it's taken shape. Actually, I'm going to repeat this and also have one on the right. just so we can help get some distinction between them. Now we can see, okay, as we hover over them, changes color. When we click on it, it again changes another color. So very good. Now we also see this 0 to hero, which is taken from the text here. Actually, I'm going to just play with this a little. It's actually going to be called 0 when you first open it.
We are also going to add a little function called clicked brand. And every time the brand is clicked, or after the page is loaded, if the brand is clicked, we are going to say this logo will now say hero. So the idea is going to be that we have 0 here. When we click on the brand, we want it to change and actually say hero. That's because we're going from a 0 to a hero. Sorry. Bad joke, I know. But hey. So clicked brand on the toolbar. We will say click equals and clicked brand. Close the parentheses. So it's just this function called clicked brand. And as if it were magic, we now click it, it turns to hero. So there you have it. We now have our nav bar, we have home button, other button. These don't do anything at present. That is absolutely fine. As we go into it, we will actually code these to make them be a bit more dynamic so that we can actually change the navigation path. Guys, I hope you're enjoying the series. I hope you're finding useful. If there's anything that you're still struggling with, any questions that you have, please leave them in the comments below, and I will make sure to go through all of the questions, answer them to the best of my knowledge. If any of you also see other questions people ask and you have some ideas on what the answer may be, please comment as well. If we can help each other, all the better. See you in the next round, guys.